I'm standing at the spot with the worst of the damage here at Hillside Cemetery that we can see. This over here is an exposed, unidentified casket, exposed because of residual damage from Hurricane Florence. It feels like it was just yesterday that this Fort Liberty sign was installed behind me, so we'll see how long it takes for it to be changed back to Fort Bragg. So I'm seeing lots of lobster and lots of desserts as well. In fact, around the room, we have these massive cake sculptures. I'm afraid of getting too close because of how gorgeous and elaborate they are. You can see the water behind me. It's as brown as the mud beneath my feet. And some homeowners I spoke with in the area tell me they're still dealing with the impacts of the last major storm, Tropical Storm Debbie, and that they're working together to protect themselves from Helene. Fayetteville police say there have been 8 homicides in just the month of January. Last year, from January to March, there were only 3. It is a very tense and active scene out here. You might actually be able to hear the cries, the shrieks of friends and loved ones who've just gotten an update from the Johnston County Sheriff's Office. Officials point out that this is the most diverse administration in the country's history. All of this coming in the backdrop of what is shaping up to be a contentious election cycle. Believe it or not, right where we're standing here on Dudley Road, this fire just picked up again. It only started smoldering about 30 minutes ago. Dency Lucas says she's been leaning on her faith and her community as they've been raising money to rehabilitate the struggling cemetery, Hillside Cemetery in Spring Lake. The worst of the damage is this casket we first showed you in October, now visible from the street and exposed due to unrepaired damage from Hurricane Florence. She says they've raised more than $7,000 to restore the cemetery since they first spoke to us last month.
The outstanding outpouring of support shows the love and desire that the community has.
Cumberland County is pitching in too. The Board of Commissioners is allocating $15,000 from the general budget to rebury the casket.
It was a unanimous decision. They understood the significance of this.
Commissioner Glenn Adams says he hopes the effort will restore dignity while community members keep working to identify whose grave ended up exposed by the damage.
This is somebody's family. It's either their great-grandmother, grandmother. It doesn't really matter, but we deserve to make sure that they are taken care of.
One man says he's proud of his fellow veterans, helping them clean up the graveyard by clearing up overgrown brush and litter in recent weeks. Their work has made many of the graves here, including these ones behind me, more visible.
Everybody that I talked to, especially the Sergeant Major community, stepped up.
In Spring Lake, Monique John, ABC 11 Eyewitness News. Yesenia Gilfranco tells me this corner of her house is a safe place for her daughter to connect with her father.
This is Christian's urn, so we keep it here. Jasmine comes here often, actually.
Christian, a staff sergeant in the Army, died of stomach cancer while on active duty back in 2017. The Gold Star widow says her daughter was only 8 months old when her father died. Gilfranco was a lieutenant.
As an active duty service member, I don't think I let myself grieve the way that I probably should have.
Then a friend encouraged her to join Wear Blue Run to Remember, a foundation for families of fallen soldiers. The organization holds runs nationwide to give families a chance to connect, cope with loss, and mentor kids.
I love to say that we're all one in blue because we are. No matter where you are, what you're going through that day, you have a community of supporters behind you who are walking with you.
Watching her daughter run, Gilfranco says it's only made her daughter stronger.
She just kept saying, even though she was struggling, she said, I'm doing this for Dad, I'm doing this for Dad. And it was a huge step. It was, she made me very proud. And I know Chris would be proud of her too, if he was there.
Monique John, ABC 11 Eyewitness News. This may look and sound like a disaster site, but it's actually just a drill.
No one thinks that their plane's going to crash or something like that's going to happen. But for us, we can't afford just assuming that it's not going to happen. We have to prepare like it's going to happen.
Wednesday, Fayetteville Airport held a simulation of a plane crash with the fire department and several emergency departments in the area. About 30 actors from local high schools and colleges played passengers in distress in the exercise, mandated by the Federal Aviation Administration.
Training is where you're going to identify some issues, and then you'll be able to correct those before we have a major incident here.
Officials say the airport leads the drill every 3 years, but they note deadly plane crashes like the mid-air collision in Washington, D.C. underscore the importance of this year's exercise.
We really do try to role play this into the current events, especially those that have recently occurred here in the industry.
Fayetteville's first responders tell me major crashes that have been happening in other parts of the country are pushing them to modernize how they would respond to a crisis if an incident happened here. Airport officials tell me this old aircraft from a deadly plane crash in 1994 is used to train for rescue missions in confined spaces.
We are going to do our job, and we're going to do the best we can at it. And we're out here doing this stuff for you guys.
In Fayetteville, Monique John, ABC 11 Eyewitness News. Avante Devin looked like she was on the verge of tears as she walked into the courtroom today. She's now facing a maximum sentence of a death sentence as she's been charged with 5 felonies, including first-degree murder and child abuse. A warning, some viewers may find this story disturbing. Just over an hour ago, the judge ruled Avante Devin will be held without bond until her next probable cause hearing next month. A decision Devin's court-appointed lawyer didn't contest today, citing the gruesomeness of Devin's accusations.
Well, I know the allegations can't be any worse. They're very serious. Don't know much about the case. Haven't been involved in the case very long. I do trust and have complete confidence in our judiciary.
The abhorrent details of the Fayetteville police's allegations against Devin laid out in the arrest warrant. The warrant says Devin convinced a family friend to pose as Blake Devin, one of her adopted children she's accused of killing during a social services visit to conceal the fact that Blake was already dead. It also says another adopted child ran away from home after Blake was allegedly murdered. Then it says Devin lied to one of her adoptees, saying that she'd put London Devin, the other adopted child she's accused of killing pictured on the right, in a mental institution, all in an effort, according to investigators, to cover up London's death.
The allegations are certainly some of the worst that I've seen in doing this almost 25 years.
But it doesn't end there. In addition to allegedly forcing one of the household members to help dispose of the siblings' bodies, investigators revealed Devin could be seen in surveillance footage buying a cooler from a Walmart with 2 of her other adopted children. The remains of one of the children found in a red cooler, just like the video, according to investigators. And there continue to be heartbreaking details of what these children allegedly endured under Avante Devin's care. In that arrest warrant, it concludes by saying that Devin allegedly tried to manipulate one of her children into taking the blame for these deaths. It really is just a terrible situation if these deaths ever reached the light of day. More in the 5 o'clock hour. Monique John, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.